In today's video, I'm going to be taking you through the process of another graphic that I've worked on more recently. I did a graphic for Martin Luther King Day, and this was done more for me to just create something. My sister needed a graphic for a social media post, and I offered to do a graphic for her business. In the video, I tried to edit it in a way where I could show you the steps without having to describe it, but I decided I would try and describe what I'm doing just to support the editing in the video, if that makes sense. Let me take you through the process of this graphic that I made. Usually I start by finding images to use in today's graphic. I'm going to be looking for a headshot of Martin Luther King, as he will be the main subject in the graphic. Copy the image. I'm going to make a new project, and I'm going to keep the width and height at 1280 by 960, and we'll just create. I'm going to paste the image of Martin Luther King in the frame. I'm going to start by cutting his headshot out. And as I get closer to finishing the cutout, you'll see that I created a part of his shoulder. I just made an outline to give the shape of his shoulder. And I'm gonna keep the feathering at 0. Use the eyedrop tool, and I'm gonna take from his shadow right here. Shortcut, you're just gonna press I on your keyboard. I'm gonna make a new layer. I'm gonna press G for the paint bucket tool. Click that color into the shape. I'm gonna combine those two layers into one folder and just name it MLK, and move him over to the right side of the screen. I'm gonna right click on the folder. Some options are gonna come up, and I'm gonna go up to convert to smart object. That way everything just stays in place. Okay, let's keep going. I'm gonna be looking for a background element. You know, what better than an American flag with Martin Luther King over the American flag in the background. I'm gonna go to open with Photoshop. Control-Alt and paste it into the graphic. On the American flag layer, I'm gonna go to mask, click that, and I'm gonna use a gradient tool to fade the flag from the left to right side. And here I combined Martin Luther King's headshot with the flag. I just merged it, Control-E to merge those two layers. I'm gonna desaturate this by clicking on the keyboard, Control-Shift-U. And I'm gonna make a new layer. On this new layer, I'm gonna use sepia color. Just to make it easier, I'm gonna look up sepia colors, take an image and copy it and just paste it in here and source from these different tones. I'm gonna go to modes and go up to overlay. And as you can see, it gives the whole image a sepia color. I created a black solid layer, and I'm gonna be using the circle marquee tool to create a vignette around this whole graphic. I'm gonna change the feather radius to 200, just to fade the edges, to give it, I guess, more of a gradient on the edges. On the right side, it's pretty dark where Martin Luther King is. I'm gonna paint over that to take out parts of the vignette to help his headshot stand out more in the graphic. And now I'm gonna look for a gold lens flare to put over the whole graphic, just to give the image a bit of atmosphere. Copy this and paste it in here. Rescale this, because I want the flare to be coming up from the top left as if there's a light shining down on him. And I'm gonna adjust the lens flare just to give it more contrast. And now I'm gonna go up to filter, blur, and Gaussian blur. Since I scaled it up, you can see a bit of the pixels in there, so I'm just gonna fade the lens flare so that the pixels aren't visible. Now I'm gonna go to normal mode and give this layer a screen mode, which would allow the flare to be visible while still enabling the background elements to be visible as well. I'm gonna do a bit more level adjustments to the lens flare. And now I'm gonna start creating text on the left side. To access the text tool, shortcut T on your keyboard. I'm gonna be typing in Martin Luther King Day, Martin Luther King Jr. Day. Just gonna scale it up. Have the text be white. Now I'm gonna start adding effects to the text and do some adjustments so that there's a pretty sharp drop shadow to give it depth and make it look like it's within the environment of this graphic. I'm gonna duplicate the text layer, Control J to duplicate, The duplicated text that I have right here, I'm just gonna do another drop shadow, but increase the radius to enable the top text to stand out more in the graphic. As you can see, the white and the white in the graphic, there's no contrast. So I'm just adding contrast using the drop shadow. I'm gonna put these two text layers into their own folder and just rename it text, just to keep things organized. Now I'm gonna start giving the text some kind of design. I'm just gonna make a line using the marquee tool and just center it within the text. Now using the marquee tool, I'm gonna cut out the area where day is, so that there's gonna be two lines on each side. Now I'm gonna duplicate that line and just move it up. The two lines are meant for design and it kind of boxes in the text. To me, I feel like this is a good design choice. Yeah, let me know in the comments down below. What do you guys think? I'm gonna be copying the layer style from the text and I'm gonna be putting that on the two lines. Okay, now I'm gonna center the text. I'm gonna click the white box layer at the bottom and just Control T, and when I Control T that layer, you can see the points on that white layer, and I'm just gonna use the guidelines as a reference to center the text. All right, I'm gonna be going back to the sepia color tones, and I'm gonna use that to create a gradient on the text. And I'm gonna control click on the text, and that's gonna create the marching ants around the shape of the text. And I'm just gonna mask that. I'm gonna be using the mask to pretty much enable the brush strokes that I just made, and the brush strokes will just show within the text shape. Now I'm gonna be creating a sepia layer here to allow the text to pop out more by just creating more contrast from the background to the text. So I'm gonna use the marquee tool, and I'm gonna right click in that shape, go up to feather. I'm gonna leave the feather radius to 200. I'm gonna decrease the opacity to 25%. Now it's just a matter of organizing the layers to how I want the layers to be seen on the graphic. And now I'm gonna add a levels adjustment to create contrast within the whole graphic. And I feel like the unsaturated layer that I merged together in the beginning of this video isn't working well. I would like the American flag to have some color, so I'm just gonna turn that off and just turn on the separate headshot and American flag layer. And last thing, I'm gonna blur the edges of Martin Luther King's headshot. The edges are pretty sharp, and I wanna just give his headshot a bit more depth by blurring the edges. I'm gonna go to the blur tool, and I'm going to create a new layer for the blur effect that I'm gonna create right now. I'm gonna rename that and turn the main headshot off and start blurring the edges. All right, and that's it. That's the graphic that I made for Martin Luther King Day. I hope that taking you through the process gives you an idea of how my work process goes when I create a graphic. I have more videos planned for different tutorials, but I wanted to try something different out and just show you how I create graphics, and also just to keep myself busy and creative. Yeah, and that's it. I don't know really what else to say, but I hope you enjoy the video. And stay tuned for other videos in the future. Keep thinking about your next project and just create it. All right, till next time.